someday when I say I'm not going to build something, I might actually stick to it. But building is so much fun, even on themes that I'm not exactly a huge fan of. I mean, there's no bad themes. There's just themes I like less than other themes. Inspire is whatever. I mean, I can't say anything because this thing's been sitting on my desk since I built it well over 2 decades, probably more ago. Um, some parts are even broken, so I have to fix it. And I like this guy so much that I built this guy as a, homage in classic face colors. um, but anyway, enough about those guys that have just been sitting on my desk watching my room. Yeah, this guy. Saucer Centurion, obviously missing pieces that I substituted. That one and a red wing plate that's exactly the same issue I had with my last Saucer Centurion, which was missing 2 of those red wing plates, so man, I could combine them and have one fully complete one. But then I'd have to go digging for it because it's in a bin in the garage. But other than that, I'm trying to remember what I had to grab. I had to grab that black guy there, and I had to grab one more black because I only came with 3 black guys, black wing plates. And so I had to grab a 4th, and then I grabbed a 4th one of those, so that's 2 pieces, 3 pieces. Yes, there was only 3 of the 5 2x2 round bricks, so I had to grab 2 of those out of my collection. I had to grab 4 or 5 of these thrusters. There's like 8 of them on here. I just only had 3-ish left. One, surprisingly, one 3x4 slope. So what are we up to, 8 or 9? Not too shabby. Around 10, we'll say around 10 pieces I had to grab from my collection. The rest of it was here. So I can't complain about that at all. And am I gonna actually brick link the 2 missing pieces that I couldn't get from my collection? No, I'm really not. This set is not worth it to me to complete. It does have a nifty little thing, and again, I can't do it very well with my... There we go, it comes apart. Come on. It works better when... Oh. Yeah, that comes out and it goes back together. So if you ever use it, this thing, basically the card drops out of the bottom. Again, I'm holding onto the phone, so this is not two-handed. And this thing comes out because it's using that crane piece that I thought was brilliant to use on here, like that. It's built in to pick things up. Other than that, it looks cool. I will say this. When I saw it in the original brochure, I said that, again, it was 1990. I'm going to say it was 1994. Yeah, so right in the middle of me not buying new sets. So this fits right into that. But after you build it, it has some interesting techniques in it. And again, the thing splits open by a stud, so this thing can be picked up from the bottom. The thrusters on the side of the 2x2x4 brick, I thought was brilliant. The way they did that, the 2 layers here, so it has all the mechanisms inside for the sliding mechanisms and all this other stuff. But other than that, besides the fact that this expands, that it splits open, and that the thing goes inside, there ain't much to this set besides its looks, which overall is sort of cool, but a little meh. It's got this huge sea of black here. Nothing's on it. It's okay. I will say that it's okay. It's a cool looking set. The bottom is not inspired at all, but not too many sets are inspired when you look at it from the bottom. A lot of nice pieces in here. A lot of really nice pieces. Again, the 2x4x2 high brick with the holes inside. A lot of these thrusters, these guys. A lot of nice trans dark blue cones. Nice printed tiles. Blah blah blah. And the antennas that came with 4 trans blue antennas, and of course I only have 3 left. So in the end, pick it up used. It's a nice little set for parts, especially these wing plates, which, it comes with 4 black and 4 red when you actually get the right set. And you can build renegades. since you so desire. It's fine. And again, the pieces that I got in this lot are very, very, very good, and that makes me happy. So I think I had something else I was looking at. I did some research last night that I can build a Galactic Chief, possibly, because I have the Space Police 2 and the but I'll have to see if I build him. I mean, it's gonna be 5 seconds for me to build that guy, if I have the right pieces, because I still have, let me just find it, it should be in here. I have this one wing plate from the 918, guaranteed. I have this guy possibly from the 918. But wait, today I already have it out. This is quite this way. I do have the 8x8 wing plate that I must have had it out somewhere. I'll find it, and I might build it. That guy, but we'll see. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. So the Saucer Centurion, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Saucer Centurion. It's a cool set to have. It's fine, and I'm glad I got another one. So I'm going to wrap this up. You guys all stay safe, take care, and as I always say, I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, this was painful. I shouldn't have done it. There was far too many missing pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 missing pieces. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, 7 pieces. So I had one more piece because there's a little gray tile on the bottom. 8 pieces, because so 6 missing pieces and 8 actual pieces. Okay, whatever. I think I said the same thing when I built this thing for the review. No console at all. It's fine. I think Space Police 2 had its deficiencies, and this is one of them. But if you have one, there you go. I'm going to combine this with the other one so I don't upload a 1-minute video. And I don't have a lot of other pieces. So that's it. That's all. I'll talk to you guys. So I tried to reconstitute my never-ending quest of reconstitutions. Reconstitute yet another set, 6889 Recon Robot, and all these pieces were in the lot, and these 5 pieces were not in the lot. So that is the best one yet. So I'm gonna go build this now, and I'm probably gonna, as I said earlier, I'm gonna combine all these into one longer video so you don't have to sit through all these little tiny videos. And I will see you in the Oh, there we go. One Recon Robot. I did a review on this one a long time ago. Set number 6889. It was cute. Not nearly as happy as I am with this big brother. Though the big brother has a broken arm right now. But for me, I was trying to figure out what all these spare pieces were for, especially these little tires. And so now I do know that with these remaining 6 tires, that is that set that I will never build. I keep on saying that, but it's just like the other one. I'm not. If I ever get around to doing a review of the other non-6880 to 6991 sets, I might build that one, but I'm not remotely interested. But this one was a cute set, Aspirius. It's always cute having Aspirius, and yeah, that's it. And as I say, 5 pieces from my collection to finish this guy, and that's to catch me out. Now I do get a slight sense of Johnny 5 from oh, for crying out loud, that was just in my head. It's just in my head. I honestly can't remember the movie name right now. This is the problem of making these movies when you're tired. Steve Guttenberg and Ellie Sheedy, and the robot Johnny 5. It's alive. Wow. Weird Science? No, that was the other one. it's gonna hit me at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I saw all of them. I think there was at least 2, but it has a slight Johnny Five feel to it with the face and the arms, but I think it was inspired by that guy, just maybe subconsciously. But there you go. One more set, so that's 4 sets down here and a bunch of sets upstairs. I may do a review of all the sets I got out of the slot and the parts and pieces that are left over. Maybe. I honestly don't feel like putting any more effort into trying to figure out, because, well, let's just talk about it for 1 second to end off this video. So I put these guys out of the way. That guy over there. And I mentioned that these tires are from the Crater Crawlers or whatever. They can just, no thanks. Crater Crawlers and Crater Critters never impressed me. So I was making noise. You can play them at the very bottom. So these 2 only came in, I didn't know this, but they only came in the Alien Stalker or the AT-AT, the Lego AT-AT, that gray thing. There should be 4, and 4 black ones and a whole bunch of pieces. And I did find in, where is it? This guy. That piece. So that does really enforce that. And even this guy, right? With the hatch. And I think that guy's in there. And I actually think that guy's in there too, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time, and yeah, in a gray cover. But that's, I mean, this is all the fancy pieces for that. And those 2, no windows, some basic brick, not a lot of slopes. You know, it's not much light gray in there, so there's nothing in there that's gonna remotely even get close to half of the Alien Stalker. Whatever it's called. What's it called? I can't remember. Anyway, the AT-AT. It's like straight inspired by AT-AT. I remember buying that one off the shelf, by the way. I did buy that one because it looked really, really cool. And I was impressed with it, and it stayed together for a long time. And again, I do believe that there are parts and pieces, obviously, that were from the 6890 Galaxy Commander. But in the end, hardly any of them. So I'm not building that. Again, this is from the Critters or the Crater Crawlers or whatever you want to call it. What else is there? I was thinking Explorians, but probably not. These 3 are left here, and the black frames for these are there. So yeah, let's hold that up. So we've got some black frames here, and this one even has a white thing on it. I think I recall that, but there's another one. So I mean, but not a lot of other pieces that are interesting in the black anymore, except for the tiny pieces and the light gray we talked about. The blue is basically just basic brick now. Not too much in there at all besides basic brick. So we can get in here and we can say, yeah, that's also from the 6980, and that's from the 6980. So half of the thing, 1 wing plate from the 6980. Still, this guy, I might look him up, because again, I built the 6985. I can't remember if this in blue came in other sets. I don't recall off the top of my head. I know in gray and black it came in a bunch, but the rest of blue is just basically all basic parts again, except for that, which again could be the 6980. White. Got these guys, which again makes me think of Futuron, maybe, but I don't have any of the trans dark blue. Got this guy, again, 6980, maybe, but hardly anything in white anymore. So, the Galaxy Commander is really out of touch. I'm not going to bother. Red is red, hardly anything in space except, you know, there's got another one of these. That could have been anything like a postal outlet, mostly basic brick in there. So now, like as I said, the Space Police 2 set, I had to pull out 6 pieces, and there was 8 pieces there. So almost half of the pieces I had to, and that was just a small set. Anything else in here is going to be like at least like half to 3/4 or almost 90% of the pieces I'm going to be pulling from my collection to finish it. And that's not the point of reconstitutions. Reconstitutions is to make sure the majority of the pieces are in the lot that I get, because then it's fun. When you're looking for 90% of the pieces from your own collection to finish it, like the Galaxy Commander, it's not fun. And Lord knows I have enough Galaxy Commanders. I don't need yet another one. And I really don't believe, well, I'm not going to say it because I built all those 689s. I don't believe I have a lot of wing plates left in white that are any good. I always leave the crappy ones. I try to leave the crappy ones out of my builds. So I think what I'm going to do in the end is I'm going to have this guy. Again, that's this 918. That could also be the 918. I got like that. There's not some semi cool gray pieces left in here. You know, so this one was intriguing to me, but not intriguing enough to me. Got one of those. Again, Lord knows I need enough of these because I used a lot of my layout, like over 300 layout. Another one of those. So, I mean, there are some really cool spacey pieces here that would be fun to try to figure out, but there's not enough of any one thing that screams build me right now. But having just old gray plates that are in very good condition, like a 4x8 is really good, but this one, 6x12, I think it is. Another 4x8 here. Cannot complain about that at all. So, and this guy, which again could be Alien Soccer. Again, I might be getting that mixed up, but the AT-AT. I know that it came with one of those. So anyway, oh, that's speaking. This is probably from that set, really, but it needs 2, and I only have 1. Yeah, I only have 1. So, to me, it's not really worth the effort to try to reconstitute anything else because I'll be pulling the majority from my collection. And that's less fun for me because then I just might pull everything from my collection to build whatever these things are. So, my reconstitution of all these classic sets, I think, is now done. Then I wouldn't hold my breath because I might get inspired and might find something that's really like, oh, I should build that right now. But in the end, at this point, let's get over here. Dump this out. So I got some of that. I hope I said throw everything in here. I might have done that. Anywho, that I put it back in there. Good. So I got those guys. I got one of those. I got that guy again. That kind of, I think that came in that white Futuron set that used all these blue things on the middle section of it. Could be anything. Starfleet Voyager. Woohoo! Anything else? Police is not here. LL918. I have no idea what set that's from. I can't figure it out at all. We got one of those. Still, that's not part of its classic space. This is part of that thing, part of this thing. So that's that. These guys from the Alien Stalker or the AT-AT. One more of those. A dial pad, another one of those. And one of those. One of those over there. So enough parts and pieces in here that make me happy. Some red guns, but or bull horns, whatever. That guy, old school. And a flag, yay! Somehow that doesn't look like the right sticker on here, but it's not stickered. That's a pretty small Lego sign. That's a big flag. And some Minecraft stuff, which I found very odd. Pig, sheep, and and some of my favorite older bricks, although one's got little but a little bit of bite marks on it, but I'm not going to throw it away. Lego on the door, but only one door. Police on this door. We got both police cars, but again, I'm not going to reconstitute things that aren't classic based. So enough pieces left over. They're all down there to sort into my collection, and enough sets that I built to make me happy that I can just put in Ziplocs and put in the, don't spill that, that I can put into my totes, because sooner or later I am going to do the massive, put everything out and see what I got. And then, honestly, I will be downsizing. This is going to be a one-time thing. I do not have the wherewithal. I found out that this isn't even classic space. This is like town or something. This is I honestly thought it came in M-Tron, but it did not come in M-Tron at all. Yeah, so I may quote unquote open a Bricklink store when all this is done. Again, wouldn't hold my breath, but I am getting a little discombobulated by how much stuff I have. And I also want this hobby to start paying for itself. So my voice is, I haven't had a drink in a while. I was just got off a Jeffy show and my glass is empty. Yeah, so there are plenty of ideas that I want to go through. There are plenty of things I need to think about. There are plenty of things that I want to say yay or nay whether it pertains to staying in this house and staying in my collection. Because I know there are a lot of my friends who are just, and I've talked about this before, there are a lot of people out there in this hobby, a lot of people in this hobby that definitely were not as lucky and as, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is right now, but they were not as lucky, I guess, as I was to be born at exactly the right time and have disposable income when I was in my early 20s, and still not have a dark ages, so I was still buying stuff. And so I know of some of my friends that really, I wish I had bought, I wish I had got, I wish I had the wherewithal to get X, Y, and Z sets that I have multiple copies of, that I can never and will never use in a show, because I'm not hauling around my entire garage to shows. So they're sitting in bins in a garage, and that kind of weighs on me, that they're just sitting there doing absolutely nothing for me, besides the fact that I know they're there. But that becomes an obsession, like keeping stuff just for the sake of keeping stuff that isn't doing anything for anybody. It's just sitting there in a box. But I always wanted to do a big, huge display across the floor, across tables, of everything I own. And but when that is done, I don't want to put it back. I don't want to keep on storing it. I got other things I want to store out there. Sandy and I have been talking about downsizing forever. And the one thing that is stopping us from downsizing is the Lego collection, because it is very tough to downsize the Lego collection, especially when I don't know what I want to get rid of. And so I have to, at 56, and actually I will say this. So my friends were over for a barbecue on the weekend, and they were talking about it, and everybody who came over for a barbecue on the weekend, I've been doing shows with for well over 2 decades now overall, basically. And the people at the barbecue, and other people, but I'm saying the people who are at the barbecue have always showed up with a big display. Like Jeff and I did so many displays over the years where there were 7.5 feet by 9 feet, 12 feet. And then we did that one that was 7.5 by 18 feet, basically the entire one wall of the, of the banquet room that we were in. And we did that 12.5 by 12.5, the square. That took 2 days to set up. And so we are used to bringing big displays to shows. And the one thing I've mentioned numerous times is that I got to the point where I was getting tired of it's not the moving. I will say that. It wasn't the carrying in and carrying out. That's usually was pretty easy overall. It was just setting up. And it wasn't physically exhausting, although some of the stuff was pretty heavy to lift around. And that will factor in the conversation a little bit. But it did come to the point where we're sitting up for 3, 4, 5, 7, 10, 12 hours setting up something that after 2 days we're just going to take down again. And that's part of the show. I mean, the show experience is setting up and taking down and waiting for the next show. And I have 8 boxes in the garage, because this is where this comes in. I have 8 boxes in the garage that now make my setup a lot quicker, a lot better, a lot more, together. So I don't have to spend as much time setting up, because when I'm at shows, I'd rather be talking to people. I'd rather be hanging around friends. I'd rather be enjoying myself. And instead of like setting up during the show, which has happened so many times in the past, we'd be still setting up during the show. The show has started and we're still putting stuff in the layout. We're populating the layout. And so the first people through don't get to see the thing fully complete. You know, what kind of crap is this? That's how I would feel. And they keep on walking. Yes, that's their problem. It's not my problem. But my problem is I don't like setting up while the show has started. and I also say that in my 30 years of doing shows, and this is 25 Lego shows, 25 years of doing Lego shows, but 30 years and 35 and cup camps and all that stuff. The more stuff you bring, the longer it takes to set up and blah, blah, blah. And it's harder to keep organized and harder to keep track of and harder to blah, blah. And for me, it depreciates my experience of happiness at the show. So I said, I made a mandate during COVID. It was after, I think, the last Brick Fete. I said, the rule for me is I have to be able to set up whatever I'm setting up. Just the space layout for now. Let's use the space layout as an example. I have to be able to set that up in under 2 hours. That's a reasonable time for me at a show, because the show runs a weekend. And again, before, when the show used to run from Friday to Sunday, and they would let us on Thursday, that was even better, because that's why Jeff and I got used to being able to set up things in 6, 7, 8 hours, because we have all Thursday night and Friday morning to set up. So we had 6, 8 hours to set up, and then the show opens at 3 or 5 on Friday afternoon, and it goes to like whatever, and then starts Saturday morning and goes to whatever, and Sunday to whatever. But lately they've been truncating, losing Friday, sometimes even losing Saturday or Sunday, and it's only a 1-day show. And usually these days, the show's not even 6 hours. Starts at 10 and it's done by 3. I've been to a few shows like that. Starts at 10, done by 3. And so what's the point of me setting up for 6 hours for a show that runs 5 hours, and then you're bringing it home? So I did a full layout at a show that was 5 hours long. And that was okay. I didn't mind, because I was testing. I was in my testing phase with the wooden boxes back then. And so I didn't mind going to a 1-day show that was from 10 to 3. And again, I had it set up before the show started. They open the doors at 7 to let the vendors in, to let people in. And I show up at 7 and I set up. And 9:30, I'm just puttering. And so from 9:30 to 10, I get to spend all the time in the world just moving the minifigs around. I have the time to set that up before people start coming in. Because when people start coming in, I have no time to look at the layout. I'm too busy talking and too busy interfacing, too busy hanging out with the public, which is why I do these shows. And if I'm so busy still setting up the layout, then I'm not enjoying the public time. So the boxes are a huge help, but also, since the shows have now, over the past 20 years, waned to less than 2 days most of the time, I don't want to bring such a big layout. So again, I truncated it when I did the Mississauga Comic Expo last year. It was set up in half an hour. It was perfect. It was half an hour. The takedown was basically also half an hour. I only had to bring four of my 8 boxes. Here's 4, not 4. 4 of my 8 boxes. And that's all I needed. And it was a quick setup, quick takedown, and throw it in the back of the van and come home. It was perfect. For a 5-hour show, that was absolutely perfect. And it was enough to keep, so it had the tower and the habitat, and that's it. 1 monorail loop going between the two. Perfect. So I enjoyed that. I will say I enjoyed it. This is the only time I've done it. I cut my teeth on this idea back at our friend Kevin's family fun fest years ago, well before COVID, and I didn't want to bring the big layout for an afternoon, so I brought a smaller version of the layout, but it was still bigger than what I brought to Mississauga Comic Con, and I really enjoyed the small layout because it's quote something different, and it doesn't take as much time to set up. But our conversation also last weekend at the barbecue, because I'm still talking about that, was the weight of this stuff to carry and hoof in and out, like you're a beast of burden, pulling it in, pulling it out. Now, when I have Josh with me, it's fantastic because Josh can carry one handle and I can hold on the other handle. We can carry the boxes pretty easy, right? And I can carry the boxes by myself still. I'm not old and decrepit yet, but I am getting there. So when Josh is with me, it was great. But I remember at the end of Josh had left early. Josh and Sandy had left early from the Anime North, and I was packing that layout out by myself, which again I've done at least dozens of times by now. But I was getting a little tired at the end, just un petit, a little tired at the end, and I'm going, I have to think about something else now. And so we had the barbecue and friends were over, and I said because they were mentioning the cardboard boxes that I've mentioned many times in the show that I will not go back to. That the cardboard boxes are just a bane of Lego because the things always end up broken by the time you get to a show, and so I went to these boxes. Fantastic. The problem is that the boxes are too heavy. So I think I'm going to have to figure out something, because the boxes themselves aren't that heavy, because it's just a 1/2-inch plywood and they're 6 pieces, 22 by 22. That's not even like a full sheet of plywood. A half inch plywood anybody can pick up really and move around. And these things have handles, but it's the stuff inside the boxes that are heavy. And most of that is the melamine that I use to tape the base plates to. So I'm going to come up with a new solution for that. And that should also aid in my wiring, because my wiring is a little temperamental right now. And when you saw the lights out video I made a couple weeks ago, some of the lights are not on, and that's not a Rob Hendricks fault. That's just a me fault with taping these things to the plywood and stuff like that, or the melamine. So I want to come up with something better than that, and a semi-permanent to keep the wiring safe and secure, so it doesn't, get disconnected or whatever. So if I get rid of the melamine, that's going to lighten up my layout by a lot. 9 pieces of melamine, 20 by 30. It's very heavy. So that is my next big project that's not building. So I'm going to be working on that. I don't know when, because I'm right now, overall, I can handle what I have. And I'm doing 2 Lego conventions. I mentioned this on Jeffy's show. This is the first time in my life that I'm going to be doing 2 actual Lego conventions in 1 year. I'm doing Bricks in the 6, and I'm doing Brickomania over in La Belle Provence, over in Laval in September. And I'm young enough and strong enough to move the layouts by myself for now. But I'm going to be hitting 60 in a few years, and I might not be able to do that. But I still want to do a reasonable layout for a show at 60. And so I'm starting to pre-think for the next 4 years before I hit 60 to see what I'm going to be doing. So that's been on my mind too. But anyway, this is going to make the video long enough, and we discussed this. And so with all this in mind, I am going to, and I've said it for a long time now, but I am going to put a conscious effort into this whole downsizing idea, because I do have too much. And I want to do it now, the downsizing now, when I have the strength and the wherewithal to get it done. Because if I'm doing this at 60, it's going to be a lot different. And I won't have the strength to do it at 60. So stay tuned. It won't happen tomorrow, but it will happen at some point in the quote unquote near future, that I'm going to be downsizing my space collection. I got 2 bins full of Castle in the garage, and I kept them because Castle's cute. But I'm never ever going to do a Castle layout. I'm not going to start all of a sudden from Classic Space at 56 and do a castle layout. I plan on doing maybe other classic space layouts that are not as big or as whatever. Put more detail into a smaller space. That's kind of where I'm thinking I'm going, but we'll see. So we'll talk more, and I hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you soon.